So it's not just cows and pigs and chickens and fish that are being intentionally killed over the food preferences of non-vegans. It's also wild animals that are being intentionally killed, like wild American horses. Every year, the government, with our own tax dollars, they round up thousands and thousands of wild American horses. They remove these wild American horses from public lands so that cattle can graze these lands instead, so that cattle ranchers can maximize their profits. These horses end up in government holding facilities, and then from there they are typically auctioned off. And kill buyers are the ones buying these horses up at auction. They get them cheap and they ship them into Canada, they ship them into Mexico, where they are slaughtered for horse meat. So yeah, you're not just killing cows and pigs and chickens and fish for your food preferences if you're not vegan. You're having wild animals killed, like wild American horses being killed over livestock, so that cattle ranchers can maximize their profits. And yeah, I have every reason to speak out against this atrocity, especially when my own tax dollars are being used to fund it. When my own tax dollars are being used to massacre millions of wild animals so that non-vegans can consume animal products. I have every right to speak out against the animal agriculture industry and what they're doing to animals. And again, not just the cows, pigs, chickens, and fish, but the wild animals. Non-vegans are literally causing the sixth mass extinction. And there's no atrocity that comes close to this atrocity, because animal agriculture is literally causing the sixth mass extinction. Animal agriculture is the leading cause of deforestation, species extinction, water pollution, water depletion, ocean dead zones, ocean plastics, fisheries depletion, pandemics, world hunger, and climate change. So yeah, unless, you are pro animal cruelty, you need to go vegan. You absolutely need to go vegan unless you're pro animal cruelty. You love the fact that animals are tortured and killed. You love the fact the planet's being destroyed. You love the fact that you're consuming products that literally increase your risk of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease. Love the fact that, you're increasing the risk of another pandemic like bird flu, swine flu. Now, actually, there are 1 billion people right now starving. 1 billion people right at this very moment starving, while tens of billions of animals being raised for their flesh and secretions are well fed. They're not well cared for, but they are well fed. Billions of people are starving because food they could be eating is being used to fatten livestock so privileged people can eat meat. And yeah, it's weird that you don't see a difference between killing animals and killing a carrot. Like, you really think, that's the same thing? Really? Besides, more plants have to be killed to fatten up livestock. A lot more plants have to be killed to fatten livestock so that you can consume animal products. And animal agriculture is the leading cause of deforestation. So think about what that means for plants. As an acre of land is slashed and burned per second, and it is mainly to graze and grow food for livestock. So yeah, if you truly care anything at all about plants, you absolutely need to go vegan. And not only should you go vegan, you should become a fruitarian because no plants are harmed for fruits, nuts, or seeds. No, I used to be brainwashed. I used to be so brainwashed that when I first went vegan, I was afraid that I might not be able to maintain my health on a vegan diet. And I actually thought that, I might have to go back to eating animal products again if my health started to deteriorate. Because that's how brainwashed I was into thinking that I needed to consume deceased animals to be healthy. That I needed to consume the things that come out of a cow's infected udder and a bird's shit encrusted ass vagina to be healthy. Yeah, I used to be brainwashed, but thankfully I escaped the animal killing cult. And my health has significantly improved since. Yeah, within 3 months of going vegan. The pain I used to endure from endometriosis, which was so bad, I literally was in pain 12 days out of every single month for years. Within 3 months of going vegan, the pain completely went away. Now, maybe it's just a coincidence, but yes, animal products, meat, dairy, and eggs are the most inflammatory foods you can consume. So it's interesting that once I eliminated those inflammatory foods from my diet, the inflammation, the pain went away. And yes, most people do see health benefits after going vegan. Just watch The Game Changers. The Game Changers. What the Health. Eating You Alive. And even from the American Institute for Cancer Research, the National Kidney Foundation, the American Heart Association, a plant-based diet can significantly reduce your risk of those very common and very deadly diseases. And if you have any of those diseases, a plant-based diet can help treat them. From the American Institute for Cancer Research, not only can a plant-based diet significantly reduce your risk of many forms of cancer, if you have cancer, a plant-based diet can help fight it. From the National Kidney Foundation, not only does a plant-based diet help significantly reduce your risk of kidney disease, if you have kidney disease, a plant-based diet can help slow the progression. From the American Heart Association, the more meat you eat, the more risk you have of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, obesity, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. Yeah, and in case you don't know, Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, Sir Isaac Newton, Leonardo da Vinci, Benjamin Franklin, Socrates, Pythagoras, Plato, Plutarch, all abstained from eating animals because they knew it was immoral and unhealthy. And even Albert Einstein knew that it was not environmentally sustainable. And if you're Christian, just turn to the very first page of your Bible. Genesis 1:29, on the very first page of the Bible, one of the very first things God wants you to know. Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Isaiah 11:6-9, the wolf will lay with the lamb, and there will be no more harm. Romans 14:21, it is good not to eat flesh. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Those are commandments, and there are no exceptions listed next to those commandments. So yeah, you need to go vegan. You need to go vegan now. unless you're pro animal cruelty, unless you're for the destruction of the planet, unless you want to end up in an early grave from a heart attack, a stroke, or cancer, unless you want to cause the next pandemic like bird flu or swine flu, unless you don't care that there are 1 billion people right now starving because food they could eat is being used to fatten livestock so you can consume meat and dairy products. Yeah, it only makes sense to go vegan. Makes no sense to not be vegan. Makes no sense to not be vegan. No, God did not say to eat meat. Genesis 1:29, God's dietary plan for us is to be vegan. Romans 14:21, it is good not to eat meat. Thou shalt not kill. There are no exceptions next to that. No exceptions. That is a commandment. We are not living in a time where there was a catastrophic flood that wiped out all the vegetation. And we're literally in a survival situation. We have never lived in a time where we have access to so many plant-based food options. And the plant-based food options are so much better for our health, so much better for the health of the planet. You must go vegan. It should be a crime not to be vegan. Yeah, because you know what? If the same things being done to these animals to produce animal products were being done to humans, they would in fact be crimes of rape, kidnapping, theft, and murder. And I'm not even exaggerating. Like, in case you don't know, it's standard practice in the animal agriculture industry, throughout the entire animal agriculture industry, to artificially inseminate those animals to get them to reproduce. That is standard practice, artificial insemination. But if you look up the instructional videos put out by the pork industry, by the poultry industry, by the dairy industry, by the beef industry, by the salmon industry, by the honey industry, you look up that artificial insemination of bees, cows, chickens, fish, pigs, see how they collect the semen from the male animals for that so-called artificial insemination process. See how they collect the collect the semen. They literally masturbate male animals to sexually stimulate them, to get them to ejaculate. That is absolutely sexual assault, and it is bestiality. Sexual relations between a human and an animal is in fact bestiality. So yeah, if you're Christian, you're committing a sin by consuming animal products, because you're literally funding an industry that is based on a farmer or a farm hand masturbating an animal or shoving an electro-ejaculator in the anus of a male animal to get them to ejaculate, to collect their semen, to force that semen into the vaginas of unconsenting female animals to get them to reproduce so that you can eat their babies. And in the case of dairy products, so that you can consume the baby food of those baby cows. Yeah, because dairy cows, in case you don't know, dairy cows do not produce milk because they're dairy cows. Dairy cows, in fact, produce milk because they are mothers. They are forcibly impregnated. As soon as they give birth, their babies are stolen so that the mother and the baby don't bond, and so that the dairy farmers can suck all of that milk out of those dairy cows without interference from that baby, sucking up their profits and sell it all to you. I don't see how anybody can think it's acceptable to steal newborn babies off of their mothers so that you can consume their stolen baby food. That's what milk is. Cow's milk, yeah, that is stolen baby food. Your ice cream, if it's not vegan, you know, that is a newborn baby cow stolen baby food that ice cream is made from. No, that is untrue. That is completely untrue. In the dairy industry, their babies are removed from them their babies are removed from them right away. It is standard practice that they take the babies away within hours so that the mother and the baby do not form a bond. And here, this is from a dairy farmer just a little over a week ago. Let me change this screen. But before I take this down, this is what's happening to wild American horses so you can eat a steak. They literally round up thousands upon thousands of wild American horses every single year with our own tax dollars so that cattle can graze these lands instead, so that cattle ranchers can maximize their profits. Some of these horses have babies with them. These little foals, a lot of times they end up dying of exhaustion trying to keep up with their mothers as they're chased down by these helicopters. They're rounded up, they're put in government holding facilities. From there, they are typically auctioned off, and it's kill buyers buying them up mostly, shipping them into Canada, shipping them into Mexico, where they are slaughtered for horse meat. This is an atrocity on so many levels. And this right here, this is a screenshot that I took of a dairy farmer's video that he posted on YouTube just over a week ago. And this is coming from a small family-operated dairy farm. This dairy farmer, just a little over a week ago, posted this video. He goes into the barn where his pregnant dairy cows are. And this little calf right here was just born. He took this newborn calf off of his mother from inside of a barn and put this little baby outside in this tiny pen when he just stated that the wind chill that night was dropping to minus 20 below zero. Anything below zero is life-threatening to a newborn calf. But see, this is a male calf. The dairy farmers have no use for the male calves, so they don't care. They don't care if they die. And he even said out of his own mouth that in 10 days he's selling this calf off to the beef industry to be slaughtered for his flesh. And again, this newborn baby was just with his mother inside of a barn. This dairy farmer takes him out of that barn, puts him outside in this tiny pen when the wind chill that night is going to be minus 20 below zero. If he's only keeping this calf for 10 days, why doesn't he just let the baby stay in the barn with his mother? Again, the dairy farmers, standard practice on all dairy farms throughout the globe, that they take the newborn calves off the dairy cows soon after they're born so that the mother and the baby do not form a bond. So that when these dairy farmers sell these male calves off to the veal industry or off to the beef industry, that dairy cow doesn't go into a state of depression to where she stops eating and then her, milk production plummets. And so that this dairy farmer can hook that dairy cow up to a milking machine multiple times a day to suck this baby's food out of her body without interference from this baby. Without having this baby nurse from his mother and, eat into his profits. This is a disgusting, vile industry, and nobody should be supporting it. I mean, and it's really bizarre that I've seen mothers with newborn babies supporting the dairy industry. That is just so bizarre to me. Like, as a mother, these people should understand this is a fucking crime what they're doing to these animals. Taking these newborn babies off of their mothers to steal their baby food. And there are mothers with newborn babies themselves defending this disgusting, evil industry. It's mind-blowing to me. And it's mind-blowing to me that grown-ass men are defending the baby stealing of these animals so that they can consume their stolen baby food. Like, you're a grown man. You should not be defending this industry. Like, you're literally defending this industry so you can consume stolen baby food. You're a grown ass man. Do you need a pacifier? Do you need some diapers? I mean, seriously. Like, it is just so disgusting. Just so disgusting. So yeah, you need to go vegan. You need to go vegan now. Otherwise, you're literally funding some of the most atrocious acts of animal cruelty taking place. You're literally defending an industry that's sexually violating animals, stealing their babies from them, killing their babies so you can consume their stolen baby food. And the whole entire animal agriculture industry is disgusting. Really. You know, even the egg industry, even the dairy industry, well, especially the egg industry, especially the dairy industry. Yeah, even the egg industry, in case you don't know, it's also based on artificial insemination. Yeah, they masturbate roosters, get the roosters to ejaculate so they can collect their semen so that they can fertilize the eggs of those hens so that those eggs hatch into the egg-laying eggs, or the egg-laying hens that lay the eggs on store shelves. And at the hatcheries where all of these egg-laying hens come from, they cannot determine the sex of the chicks until they hatch. So upon hatching, they sort the males and they put them on a conveyor belt that drops them into a macerator and grinds them up alive. So yeah, if you wouldn't support an industry that grinds up puppies alive, if you would not support an industry that grinds up kittens alive, why on earth are you supporting the egg industry, which grinds up newly hatched male chicks alive because they're males, so they'll never be able to lay eggs. And this breed of bird is not the same breed used for meat. This breed of bird does not grow quick enough or big enough to be profitable for meat. So they're ground up alive as soon as they hatch. Or at some facilities, they might just throw them in the trash where they suffocate or starve to death, or drown them, or set them on fire in a trash bin, or gas them to death. And the egg-laying hens themselves, they are sent to slaughter when they can no longer produce enough eggs to be profitable. In nature, a hen would only lay about 1 to 2 dozen eggs per year. But in the egg industry, they're manipulated to produce about 200 to 300 eggs per year. That puts an enormous amount of stress on their bodies, causing all kinds of health issues. So by the time those birds are only about 1.5 years of age, their bodies can no longer keep up with that kind of egg production. So they are no longer profitable to the egg industry. So they are sent to slaughter to be turned into pet food or chicken soup. Those hens could actually live over 7 years, but in the egg industry, they only live about 1.5 years, and then they're slaughtered. And again, in the dairy industry, those dairy cows do not produce milk because they're dairy cows. Like, most people actually think that dairy cows automatically produce milk. They think that's just what a dairy cow does. Well, they're a dairy cow. That's what they do. They produce milk. That is so completely untrue. Those dairy cows produce milk for one reason and one reason only: to feed their babies. They produce milk because they are mothers, not because they are dairy cows. They are forcibly impregnated. But let me back up a little bit. Like I said earlier, artificial insemination is standard practice throughout the entire animal agriculture industry. It is the process that they use to force breed these animals so that they can raise pigs for their flesh, cattle for their flesh, chickens for their flesh, salmon for their flesh, bees for their honey. And in the dairy industry, they have select bulls that they collect semen from. And how they collect that semen is they literally masturbate those bulls to sexually stimulate them, to force them to ejaculate, or they will shove an electro-ejaculator in their anus to force them to ejaculate. That is absolutely bestiality. Sexual relations between a human and an animal is bestiality. It does not matter whether that farmer is getting sexual gratification themselves. The fact that they're literally sexually stimulating an animal, that makes it a sexual relation between a human and an animal, which is bestiality, which is a sin. In case you don't know, if you're Christian, look at what your Bible says about bestiality. It is a major sin. And whether you're Christian or not, no sane, rational, decent person should be funding bestiality. But you are if you're not vegan. Even for honey, because yeah, they're even doing this with bees. I think I just posted a video to this account like a day or two ago. Yeah, showing you what they're doing to the bees to force them to reproduce. It's very, very disturbing. And yeah, so they masturbate a bull to collect their semen. Then they force that semen into the dairy cows to get them pregnant, because they have to be pregnant before they will start to lactate. And then as soon as those dairy cows give birth, their babies are stolen from them so that the mother and the baby do not form a bond. And most of these calves are kept like this in these tiny little pens. Most of them are outside, so if there's a blizzard, they are out there being buried in a blizzard. And the dairy cows themselves are sent to slaughter when they can no longer produce enough milk to be profitable. That typically happens at about 5 years of age, when those dairy cows can live over 20 years. And all the male calves born on those dairy farms are either sold to the veal industry and slaughtered at a few weeks to a few months old, or sent off to the beef industry to be slaughtered at 12 to 22 months old. And again, they can live over 20 years. So all of these animals are being slaughtered very, very, very young. Yeah, in case you don't know, all plants contain protein. All plants contain protein. Now, fruits on average only have about 1 gram of protein, but nuts, seeds, beans, legumes, grains are a very good source of protein. Plant-based meat is a very good source of protein. Tofu, I mean, just 2 tablespoons of peanut butter has like 8 grams of protein. The bagels I eat plain contain 12 grams of protein. You can very easily get all the protein you need on a plant-based diet. And Kendrick Ferris, he is vegan. And he is the only man from the United States to have made the Rio Olympics in weightlifting. So Kendrick Ferris is proof you don't even need to consume meat to become an Olympic weightlifter. Yeah, no. Those birds are being exploited. They do not live the best life. You're literally exploiting their reproductive system. And they all come from the same hatcheries. So your backyard hens are coming from those same hatcheries. And at these hatcheries where all egg-laying hens come from, all egg-laying hens, the backyard hens, the organic free-range hens, they all come from the same hatcheries where they can't determine the sex of the chicks until they hatch. So upon hatching, they determine which ones are males, which ones are females. They put all the males on a conveyor belt, which drops them into a macerator and grinds them up alive. standard practice in the egg industry. And in case you don't know, one egg has over twice as much cholesterol as a Big Mac. So eggs are not even a health food, not even close. And in the pork industry, yeah, this is how most sows are kept in the pork industry. In these tiny crates where they can barely move. And if you can see here, you know, these little piglets, they have no tails. That is because their tails are cut off. Their teeth are clipped, their ears are clipped, the males are castrated, all of this without any anesthesia, without any pain relievers. These animals are put through a real life horror movie. And they're kept in such deplorable conditions, they literally have to be given antibiotics to keep them from getting sick. They're kept in overcrowded, shit-filled dungeons for 6 months before they are forced screaming into a slaughterhouse. And cattle raised for beef, most cattle raised for beef are only 12 to 22 months old when they're slaughtered. They can live over 20 years. But cattle raised for beef, 1 year old when they're slaughtered for your steak. 1 year old. They're very, very, very young animals that are being killed for your food preferences. And again, it's not just the cows, pigs, chickens, and fish being intentionally killed for you to be able to consume animal products. It's also wild animals being intentionally killed so you can consume animal products, like wild American horses. They're rounded up by the thousands each year with our own tax dollars to benefit cattle ranchers, so cattle ranchers can maximize their profits by having their cattle graze these public lands without the competition from the wild American horses for the food and the water resources. These horses are rounded up by the thousands each year. They're put in government holding facilities. From there, they are auctioned off. And kill buyers are the ones mostly buying them up at auction. They get them cheap. They ship them into Canada. They ship them into Mexico, where they are slaughtered for horse meat. So yeah, it's not just cattle you're having killed for you to be able to eat a steak. You're also having wild American horses killed so you can have a steak. Prairie dogs killed so you can have a steak. Wolves, cougars, bears, bobcats, coyotes, lynxes, foxes killed so you can eat a steak. So you can have poultry. So you can have pork. And yeah, if you're a pescatarian, you know, you're literally destroying the oceans. Researchers estimate that by 2048, our oceans will be fishless. So yeah, it's not just those targeted marine animals that are being killed so you can eat seafood. It's also non-target marine animals being killed when they drop those fishing nets in the oceans. Where, you know, when they leave the fishing gear behind, these ghost fishing nets entangle many marine animals like sea turtles, sea lions, dolphins, whales. No, vegans don't kill any animals. I guess you've never heard of non-lethal methods of pest control. Of course you haven't heard of non-lethal methods of pest control. You're not vegans, so you don't give a fuck whether animals live or die. But I do. Yeah, so... yeah, it's not a requirement to kill animals in crop production. There are veganic farmers, vertical farming. You can grow your own food. I don't kill any animals. I grow all kinds of plant-based foods. I don't kill any animals in the process. It's not a requirement to kill animals. There's non-lethal methods of pest control. I actually don't have any pest problems. Maybe it's because I just grow so many different things. I don't have any pest problems, but if I did, I would use non-lethal methods of pest control. There's vertical farming, again, greenhouses. One Degree is a brand that sources all of its ingredients from veganic farmers. But yeah, just so you know, whatever animals might be killed in crop production, more crops, a lot more crops, have to be produced to feed livestock than need to be produced to feed humans directly. So yeah, whatever animals are being killed in crop production, a lot more animals are being killed in crop production to produce the crops needed to feed the animals whose flesh and secretions you consume. On top of the fact, all of these animals are intentionally killed so you can consume animal flesh and animal secretions. And then wild animals, millions upon millions of wild animals are killed each year so you can consume animal products. Non-vegans are literally causing the 6th mass extinction. Billions of bees are killed each year so you can have almonds. Well, for one thing, I don't eat almonds. And, you know, it's not a requirement to eat almonds to be vegan. I don't eat almonds, okay, for one thing. For another thing, what is really killing off the bees is the GMO corn and the GMO soy. That is what the livestock animals are eating. Most of the GMO corn and GMO soy produced is fed to livestock. I don't consume any GMOs. I stay the fuck away from that nasty shit. But you see, that corn, that soy is genetically modified so that it can be sprayed with Monsanto's Roundup. So that every non-GMO plant, upon all of those ceaseless acres of land that it's sprayed on, is all killed off except the GMO corn and the GMO soy. Everything else dies, like the milkweed that the monarch need for their host plant, for their caterpillars, food source. Yeah, killed off because, you know, you want to eat animal flesh and animal secretions. And it's also killing off the non-GMO plants that produce flowers, which is a nectar source to the bees and the butterflies. So yeah, that's what's really killing the bees and the butterflies. Roundup, which is sprayed on the GMO corn and the GMO soy, which is mainly fed to livestock. I don't consume GMOs. But when you're consuming animal flesh and animal secretions, you certainly are consuming GMOs. Secondhand, at least. Because the animals whose flesh and secretions you consume, that's what they're being fed. Mostly GMO corn and or GMO soy, which is sprayed with Roundup, which is killing off the bees and the butterflies. Because Roundup itself is toxic to the bees and the butterflies. But again, that Roundup literally kills off every other plant. Upon all of the endless acres of land that it's sprayed on, kills off everything. The milkweed. Any and every kind of non-GMO plant, which produce flowers, which is food for the bees and the butterflies. Killed off. And then you wonder why the bees and the butterflies are dying off. Again, non-vegans are literally causing the 6th mass extinction. If you want to save the planet, you need to go vegan. If you want to save the animals, you need to go vegan. If you want to, you know, give yourself a better chance at living a longer, healthier life, you need to go vegan. A whole foods, plant-based diet is the best diet for human health. No, 30% of the genetically modified corn is used to feed livestock. 30%. 80% of the genetically modified soy is used to feed livestock. 30% or 33%, a third of the GMO corn is fed to livestock. Most of the GMO soy is fed to livestock. Only a third of the GMO corn is used for ethanol production, and a third used for food for us. So a third. 1/3 of corn, GMO corn, is used for livestock, 1/3 is used for ethanol, and 1/3 is used for, you know, the corn that we eat, or tortilla chips or whatever. But I always go with the organic corn. I don't eat GMOs. I do not eat GMOs. I stay the fuck away from that nasty shit. For more reasons than one. Not just because I think it's bad for our own health, but it's bad for the bees and the butterflies. Wait, I'm confused. How are male chicks' eggs? At the hatcheries, where all egg-laying hens come from. Even the organic free-range egg-laying hens. You know, there's a hatchery where all of the egg-laying hens come from. They cannot determine the sex of those chicks until they hatch. So they have all of these eggs that are fertilized that they incubate, and then once they hatch, all of the females are the ones that they send off to the egg farms to lay the eggs that are on store shelves or sold, you know, for backyard birds, you know, for your hens. I got my own hens that lay eggs. They all come from the same hatcheries where, you know, they cannot determine the sex of those chicks until they hatch. So upon hatching, they sort the males from the females. They put the males on a conveyor belt and they dump them into a macerator, which grinds them up alive because they don't lay eggs. They're males, so they will never lay an egg. And this breed of bird is not the same breed used for meat. This breed of bird does not grow quick enough or big enough to be profitable for meat. So the egg industry has absolutely no use for them. They can't sell them off to the poultry industry. So they grind them up alive as soon as they hatch. So yeah, if you would not support an industry that grinds up puppies alive, if you would not support an industry that grinds up kittens alive, you should not be supporting the egg industry. And in case you don't know, one egg has over twice as much cholesterol as a Big Mac. Not a health food, not even close. Like, you can eat, there's all kinds of ways to veganize just about anything and everything. And like scrambled eggs can very easily be veganized. One of the ways is by taking extra firm tofu, crumbling it up. It has the texture of scrambled eggs. So I'll just like saute some bell pepper, onion, garlic, add some crumbled up extra firm tofu, organic, and some turmeric, some Himalayan salt, black Himalayan salt, because it actually tastes like cooked egg yolk. But you don't have to have, I mean, I get it online, so it's not that easy to find. I mean, you can just use regular salt and pepper. But the black Himalayan salt, the Kala Namak, I think is how you pronounce it, it actually tastes like cooked egg yolk. So I'm going to do a screenshot of this person. Yeah, using my face for their profile picture. And then let me block them. Well, you need to get your priorities straight. You know, if you're concerned about my teeth and not about the fact that you're literally causing so much harm to animals, that's strange. That's really strange. Wow, that's such a major problem. Like my crooked teeth. Wow, the world should just stop, you know, because, you know, my teeth are crooked. No, see, the problem is non-vegans literally, you know, causing so much suffering to ceaseless tens of billions of animals. They're literally causing the 6th mass extinction. So yeah, animal agriculture should be banned. It should be illegal to eat meat. It should be illegal to consume dairy products. It should be illegal to consume eggs. It should be illegal. Animal products should be illegal. All you have to do to determine if something is right or wrong is determine if you want that same thing done to you. Little male chick dumped into a macerator, ground up alive. Is that a nice thing to do to someone? No. You need to go vegan. You need to stop eating eggs and go vegan. Stealing little newborn babies off their mothers and putting them in a tiny pen out there in sub-zero weather in a fucking blizzard, is that a nice thing to do to a baby? No. You need to stop consuming dairy products and you need to go vegan. Forcibly impregnating somebody and shoving them in a crate where they can barely move and making them stay like that for most of their life, is that something nice to do to someone? No. You need to stop eating pork and you need to go vegan. Sending someone to a slaughterhouse at 1 year old so you can feast on their flesh when there are endless plant-based options that you can consume instead that are much healthier for you, much more environmentally sustainable. I mean, is this something nice to do to someone? Put them in a knock box and take a bolt gun to their head, knock them out and slash their throat? Is that something nice to do to someone? No. You need to stop eating meat. You need to stop eating dairy products. You need to stop eating eggs. You need to stop hurting animals. You need to stop destroying this planet. And you need to go vegan. And if you don't want to go vegan, you can just ignore me. Like you ignore what you're doing to these animals. Like you ignore the harm you cause these animals. You could very easily just ignore me. I can't force you to go vegan, unfortunately. If I could force you to stop hurting animals, I absolutely would force you to stop hurting animals. I would absolutely force you to stop paying people to stab animals in their throats if I could, but I can't. You can very easily ignore me like you ignore all of this harm you cause. But why can't you? Why can't you just ignore me? Why can't you? Like me stating facts is such an awful thing, really? Really? No, this is what's awful. Paying people to abuse animals, that's what's awful. Yes, I'm literally stating facts. This is a fact. They grind up male chicks alive in the egg industry as soon as they hatch. This is a fact. Now, maybe not at every single egg hatchery. I mean, at some facilities, they'll just throw these little chicks in the garbage where they suffocate or starve to death. At other facilities, they might just gas these little male chicks alive. At other facilities, they might just dump them in a dumpster and set the dumpster on fire. But typically, this is what they do. At the hatcheries where all egg-laying hens come from, they cannot determine the sex of the males. So upon hatching, that's when they can determine if they're male or female. So as soon as they hatch, they take all the males, they put them on a conveyor belt, which drops them into a macerator, which grinds them up alive. That is true. That is true. Like I said, it might not be the case at all hatcheries, but they're killing all the male chicks, whether it's by grinding them up alive or throwing them in a trash bin to let them starve to death or to let them suffocate or to drown them or to set them on fire or to gas them alive. They're killing all the male chicks on day one in the egg industry because they can't determine the sex until they hatch. And once they hatch, they determine which ones are males, and because they have no use for the males, because the males will never lay an egg, and this breed of bird is not the same breed used for meat, so they can't sell them off to the poultry industry, they kill the male chicks. That is a fact. It is a fact that in the dairy industry, those dairy cows have to be pregnant before they will start producing milk. Those dairy cows do not produce milk because they're dairy cows. They produce milk because they are mothers. Their babies are stolen from them as soon as they're born so that that mother and the baby do not form a bond. And so the dairy farmers can have all of that baby's baby food to themselves to sell to you for profit. So these little calves don't get in their way, don't suck up their profits. They take these babies off their mothers on day one. On some dairy farms, they literally kill the male calves right away because they have no use for the male calves. But typically, they're either sold to the veal industry, killed at a few weeks or a few months old, or sold to the beef industry and killed at 1 year of age. These animals can actually live over 20 years, but in the beef industry and the dairy industry, they don't last but a year. And again, this bottom right image here, this is the seafood industry. So even for seafood, you are causing so much devastation to animals. Researchers estimate that by 2048, the oceans will be fishless. And it's not just the targeted marine animals that are killed for you to be able to consume seafood. It's also non-targeted marine animals that get caught up in those fishing nets and die. So yeah, you cannot say you're an animal lover if you're not vegan. You can't even say that you're a nature lover if you're not vegan. You're literally destroying nature. You're literally causing the 6th mass extinction. Nobody needs to eat meat for health issues. That's ridiculous. In fact, thousands of people die prematurely each day because they eat animal products. It's not vegans. It is not vegans dropping dead prematurely by the thousands each day from heart attacks and strokes and colon cancer and breast cancer. It's non-vegans. The more meat, dairy, and egg products you consume, the more risk you have of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, cerebrovascular disease, even multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's disease is linked to consuming animal products. So there's no health issue you have which requires you to eat animal carcasses. That's ridiculous. The only health condition I know, like the keto diet. The keto diet was developed for people who have refractory epilepsy. Epilepsy that cannot be managed with medication. So a keto diet restricts carbs, and that deadens your brain electrical activity. Like, why on earth would you want to deaden your brain electrical activity unless you had refractory epilepsy? But guess what? Even if you did have refractory epilepsy, there is such a thing as a vegan keto diet. So yeah, even if you have refractory epilepsy, you don't have to consume animal products. You can just go by the vegan keto food list. Yeah, but, you want to continue to eat deceased animals. Why don't you go pick up some roadkill? Why don't you eat roadkill? Why don't you eat your dog when your dog dies, or your cat when your cat dies? Yeah, well, the more meat, dairy, and egg products you consume, the more risk you have of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, cerebrovascular disease, causing another pandemic like swine flu, bird flu. No, nothing I have said is false. Nothing. You need to educate yourself. No, vegans do not exploit any animals, not even bees. No, I do not consume honey. And I grow my own avocados. I don't know anybody dying of iron deficiency. I do know people dying of cancer and heart disease and kidney disease and cerebrovascular disease and COVID, which was started by a non-vegan. I don't know anybody who's ever died of an iron deficiency. You can get all the iron you need on a plant-based diet. Lots of plant-based foods contain iron. Sad you don't know that. No, it's not vegans filling up the hospital beds. It's not vegans causing pandemics. From the American Institute for Cancer Research, the National Kidney Foundation, the American Heart Association, a plant-based diet helps significantly reduce your risk of cancer, heart disease, kidney disease, cerebrovascular disease, some of the most deadly diseases known to man. Yeah, you wish I wasn't changing anything. Believe me, I am changing people's minds. I'm on this app every day. Every day for over 7 years, I have been advocating for animals on social media. I even have signs that I take to busy intersections because I know not everybody's on social media. So occasionally I'll take signs to busy intersections near where I live to educate people about what's happening to animals in the food production system. Now, we shouldn't be exploiting animals at all, but, I understand, like, I do focus a lot on the animals raised for food, but yeah, we should not be exploiting any animals for any reason. So yeah, I stopped wearing leather way before I even went vegan. Stopped wearing leather like 10 years before I went vegan. Stopped consuming products that were tested on animals years before going vegan. But see, I was so conditioned to thinking I had to consume animal products to be healthy. And I didn't know any vegans growing up. Even when I went vegan, it was like, I don't know any vegans. So that's when I started getting on like social media, because I kind of felt like isolated and alone. Like, I'm like the only vegan I know. I don't know any other vegans. And it was kind of discouraging. So then I started, looking up vegans on YouTube. And then that's when I came across Gary Yourofsky. Gary Yourofsky has a very awesome speech you should listen to. The best speech ever by Gary Yourofsky. That's what really motivated me to become an animal rights activist. Just getting on social media and then seeing all of these vegan haters. It's like, I don't understand where the hate comes from. Doesn't even make sense, because I would think that most people are against animal abuse. So to me, it just makes sense that people would be like, oh, that's awesome. You're vegan. That's awesome. Like before I went vegan, I remember, some people seeing things, on the internet, people are vegan. I always thought that was an awesome thing, but I just didn't fully understand why vegans didn't eat eggs, why they didn't consume dairy products. Because I honestly didn't think an animal had to be harmed for eggs. I honestly didn't think an animal had to be harmed for dairy products. So I didn't understand why vegans abstain from all animal consumption. It was like 7 years after I stopped eating beef and pork and chicken and turkey that I learned about what happens to the male chicks in the egg industry, that I learned what happens to the male calves in the dairy industry. Why did it take me so long to learn the truth? I didn't go vegan until I was 42 years old. Why on earth did it take me 42 years to learn the truth about the dairy industry and the egg industry? Because they don't want us to know the truth. This vile industry depends on the consumers remaining ignorant to what they're doing to these animals. And look, there's only 621 people watching my live stream now. There are literally billions of people in the world. So yeah, it's hard, like, especially, you know, there are a lot of flesh farmers on this app that are constantly, relentlessly reporting the content we vegans post, so that, you know, the truth doesn't get out to people. I've had account after account banned because I'm constantly falsely reported for spreading misinformation. Nothing I have said is a lie. I'm literally stating facts. And I don't want anybody to take my word for what I'm saying here today. Just look it up on your own. You'll see that everything I am saying is true. Male chicks are absolutely ground up alive in the egg industry. Or, you know, at some facilities, they might just throw the newly hatched male chicks into a dumpster where they suffocate or starve to death. Other facilities, they might just gas them alive, but they are killing the male chicks because at the hatcheries where all egg-laying hens come from, they cannot determine the sex of the chicks until they hatch. So upon hatching, they determine which ones are males, which ones are females. The males, they kill right away because they have no use for them because they will never lay eggs and they are not the same breed used for meat. This breed of bird does not grow quick enough or big enough to be profitable for meat. And this is standard practice. They put them through a macerator and grind them up alive. And the egg-laying hens themselves, they send to slaughter when those egg-laying hens can no longer produce enough eggs to be profitable. That typically happens at about 1.5 years of age when they can live over 7 years. They're forced to produce about 10 times more eggs than is natural. So that puts a lot of stress on their bodies, causing all kinds of health issues. And then by the time they're only 1.5 years of age, they can no longer keep up with that amount of egg production. So they're slaughtered. How many wild animals die each year per acre on commercial farms? Well, for one thing, there are non-lethal methods of pest control. Of course, you wouldn't know anything about that because you're not vegan, so you don't give a fuck whether animals live or die. But I do. So, yeah, I source my products from veganic farmers and from organic farmers who use non-lethal methods of pest control. But, you know, whatever crops, you know, whatever animals are killed in crop production, a lot more crops have to be produced to feed the animals whose flesh and secretions you consume. These animals have to be fed. Most cattle raised for beef are actually on feed lots being fed grains. Day after day, month after month, for about 12 to 22 months before they're sent to slaughter. Takes as much as 16 pounds of grains to get just 1 pound of beef in return. Takes as much as 6 pounds of grains to get just 1 pound of poultry in return. So whatever animals might be killed in crop production, multiply that by roughly 10. 10 times more animals are killed in crop production to produce the crops needed to feed livestock. Then you have all of these animals killed intentionally for your animal products that you're consuming, plus wild animals being killed by the millions each year intentionally over livestock. Because, like wild American horses, they compete with livestock for grazing land, so they're being killed off. Animals like wolves, cougars, bears, bobcats, coyotes, lynxes, foxes, they're being killed off because they're a threat to livestock. Non-vegans are literally causing the 6th mass extinction. And yeah, if meat is so tasty, why do you have to douse that slaughtered gore with herbs and spices? If it's so tasty, why do you have to use salt and pepper? Like, seriously. Like, that bacon wouldn't be so tasty if it wasn't for the added salt. It'd actually be pretty fucking nasty. And there's vegan bacon, in case you don't know. Even the stores, there's brands that sell. What is it? Life Life has smoky tempeh bacon. That's really good. Right here on TikTok, if you do a search for vegan bacon recipes, you'll come across all kinds of ways to veganize bacon. All kinds of ways to veganize just about anything and everything. And in most cases, the plant-based alternatives actually taste better. They're better for your health, they taste better, and no animal has to suffer and die for it. Better for the planet. Yeah, so I think at the very least, if you think it is okay to consume animal products, you should have to work in a slaughterhouse killing these animals yourself. You should have to work at the egg hatcheries, sorting these male chicks, dumping them into a macerator to be ground up alive yourself. You should be the one, you know, taking these little calves off those dairy cows and putting them in these pens. And yeah, you should have to work at a slaughterhouse killing these animals yourself. Taken from the dairy cows. Yeah, so if you think it's okay to consume dairy products, I think you should have to go work at a slaughterhouse like this, where they're slaughtering those male calves taken off of those dairy cows. If you see nothing wrong with consuming cheese, you should have to work in a slaughterhouse killing those little male calves yourself. This right here is a screenshot of an undercover investigation at a slaughterhouse where they're slaughtering the male calves taken off the dairy cows. If you Google Kinder World Calf Slaughter, Kinder World Calf Slaughter, this should be the first video that comes up. I dare you to watch it. It's only 2 minutes long. I dare you to watch just 5 seconds of this video. I mean, look at this baby's face. This is a newborn baby. He should be with his mother, not in a slaughterhouse about to have his head chopped off. I mean, look at this baby. He's been terrorized. Look at his face. This is like the moment before he's smashed in the head with a bolt gun, hung up by his one leg, stabbed in the throat, head chopped off, so you can have his stolen baby food. This investigation shows these male calves in the slaughterhouse trying to escape. And the workers are literally picking them up and whipping them back onto these conveyor belts, which drag them forward to this thing here that's literally hanging them up by their leg and using them as a punching bag, smiling, having the time of his life. Slaughterhouses don't exist to make cars. Yeah, I don't know what your point is. You people make no sense. Like, what you try to come up with to justify what you're doing to these animals, it's like crazy. Oh, I drive a car. Well, don't you drive a car too? Yeah, I got a car back in 2007, that I bought in 2010. Yeah, I don't get where you're going with that. Slaughterhouses do not exist to make cars. And again, I bought my car that I have now back in 2010. Like 13 years ago. So how would that justify you today paying people to steal newborn babies off their mothers and hack them to pieces? How does that justify that at all whatsoever? So I guess, you know, somebody abusing a child can say, oh, do you drive a car? Do you drive a car? Oh, well, see, you're just as bad as me, you know. No. Me driving a car isn't killing anybody. Isn't killing anybody. You not being vegan kills a lot of sentient creatures. And there are 1 billion people starving right now because food they could be eating is being used to fatten up livestock. So privileged people can eat meat and dairy products. I stick with cotton. And I highly recommend buying secondhand clothes. But yeah, if you buy new, definitely buy cotton. And, you know, if you can, buy the organic cotton. No, I would have to be mentally ill to know what I know and not be vegan. Yeah, that's just weird that you're saying that I suffer from a mental illness because I don't pay people to steal babies off their mothers and hack them to pieces. Really? That makes me mentally ill? Yeah, that's strange. Yeah, I'm mentally ill because I don't pay people to sexually violate animals so that I can eat their babies. Yeah, okay, whatever. Try a little harder. Try a little harder to justify the awful things you do to animals. Try a little harder. Because your arguments against veganism are very weak. Very, very weak. Yes, let me pull this up for a second. So maybe you didn't know this before. Right here. Okay, maybe you didn't know this yesterday, but you're going to know it now. You're going to know it now. This is standard practice throughout the entire animal agriculture industry. They're not just doing this with pigs in the pork industry. They're also doing this with roosters and turkeys in the poultry industry. They're also doing this with bulls in the beef and dairy industry. They're also doing this with salmon in the salmon industry. They're also doing this to bees in the honey industry. I think I just posted a video on this account. Just look it up and see what I'm talking about. This is standard practice throughout the entire animal agriculture industry. This is part of the artificial insemination process. Yeah, for those animals to be artificially inseminated, they have to have semen. And this is how they collect that semen. A human literally sexually stimulates a male animal by masturbating him until he ejaculates. That is bestiality. That is a sin. And this should be a crime. Should be a crime. This is sexual assault. I don't see how any sane, decent, rational person can think it's okay to do this to an animal. It's totally insane that anybody would try to defend this disgusting, vile behavior. But I get it all the time. Oh, an animal. They can't consent. So that makes it okay to fondle them until they ejaculate? Really? Or fondle them at all? I mean, even if this animal could consent, it is still bestiality. You're funding bestiality every single time you consume a non-vegan product. True story. Even for honey. Look at, I think it's like the last video that I posted, or the second to last video that I posted. I'm pretty sure on this account. Yeah, even in the honey industry, they sexually stimulate bees. But in the case of the bees, after they, squeeze on their abdomen to get them to ejaculate, the bee dies. Then they restrain a queen bee, force the semen of about 20 male bees into her to force her to reproduce, so that her offspring could be exploited, so their honey could be stolen. It takes a bee their entire life to produce just 1 teaspoon of honey. What right do humans have to steal that from them? Thou shalt not steal. You're committing sin after sin after sin after sin by not being vegan. All over the deadly sins of greed and gluttony. Greed and gluttony. That is all this is being done for. Not out of any nutritional need. In fact, the more meat, dairy, and egg products you consume, the more risk you have of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, cerebrovascular disease, causing another pandemic like swine flu, bird flu. No, this is just factual information about the standard practices of the animal agriculture industry to educate you, because, maybe yesterday you didn't know this, but yeah, this is standard practice throughout the entire animal agriculture industry. They call it artificial insemination, but for that artificial insemination process to take place, they have to have semen, and they have to collect it from a male animal. And this is how they do that. A human literally sexually stimulates a male animal to force them to ejaculate. This is 1000% bestiality. Sexual relations between a human and an animal is bestiality. Doesn't matter whether the farmer's getting sexual gratification or not. The fact is, they're literally sexually stimulating an animal. That is sexual relations between a human and an animal. That is bestiality. That is a sin, and it should be a crime. And this is done for every single non-vegan product you consume. So going forward, if you do not go vegan, you are now a knowing and willing participant in bestiality and the sexual violation of animals. True story. True story. Yeah, it's so great to be vegan. So great to be vegan. So nice knowing that I don't fund bestiality. And then, oh my God, I'm like surrounded by people who do. Creepy world I gotta live in. Creepy, creepy world. And people literally will defend this. I mean, this is how conditioned people are. That instead of being like, what the fuck, are you serious? This is what they're doing? Oh my God, I'm never eating meat again. I'm never eating dairy products again. I'm never eating eggs again. I'm never eating salmon. I'm never eating honey again. Yeah, because they're doing this throughout the entire animal agriculture industry. Even for dairy products, yes, they masturbate bulls. They shove that semen, that bull semen, into the dairy cows to get them pregnant. Because, yeah, dairy cows do not automatically produce milk. They produce milk because they're mothers. They have to be impregnated before they will start to lactate. So yeah, even in the dairy industry, they're masturbating bulls, forcing that semen into the vaginas of those unconsenting dairy cows, and then stealing their babies from them, killing all the boys to steal their baby food to sell it to you. If the same exact things being done to these animals, if they were done to humans, they would in fact be crimes of rape, kidnapping, theft, and murder. And I'm not even exaggerating. So you need to go vegan. You need to go vegan now, and you need to take a stand against evil. I am vegan because I am against evil. Nothing more evil than what's happening in the animal agriculture industry. And this disgusting, vile industry is literally causing the 6th mass extinction. Animal agriculture is literally the leading cause of deforestation, species extinction, water pollution, water depletion, ocean dead zones, ocean plastics, fisheries depletion, pandemics, world hunger, and climate change. Thousands of people die prematurely every single day from heart attacks, strokes, colon cancer, breast cancer. These things caused by eating animal flesh and animal secretions. I would have to wonder about your mental health, that you could actually be shown the truth that animals are literally being sexually violated to produce animal products, and that you're going to defend this and call me the crazy one? Yeah, I would have to be crazy to know what I know and not be vegan. I would have to be crazy to know what I know and keep it to myself. The reason why I'm telling you this is happening to animals is so that you know the truth, so that you'll stop funding this industry, so this will stop happening to these animals. The only way this evil is ever going to end is if you know that it's happening. And then you'd be like, wow, I don't want to support evil. I don't want to pay people to sexually violate animals. I don't want to be paying people to give hand jobs to pigs and chickens and turkeys. And yeah. Just look up sucking turkey semen. Sucking turkey semen. Look it up on YouTube. You'll come across the episode of Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe, where he goes to a turkey farm, and the turkey farmer literally demonstrates to Mike Rowe how he collects semen from his male turkeys, literally restrains them, fondles them, has a straw, a tube in his mouth that goes down to the private parts of the turkey, and he's literally sucking the semen up from the turkey. True story. Go see it on YouTube. The episode of Dirty Jobs, which proves, again, bestiality is standard practice in the animal agriculture industry, even for you to have a turkey for Thanksgiving. Standard practice. If you don't go vegan right now, from this point forward, you are literally now knowingly and willingly funding bestiality and the sexual violation of animals. So yeah, if you're saying you'll go vegan, if you're saying you will go vegan, yeah, see, it's just weird how people will just continue to defend such an evil industry. That just goes to prove that, you know, there's an evil force in this world, and it has power over most people. Doesn't have power over me, because that's why I'm vegan. That is why I'm vegan, because this evil force in this world doesn't have control of my soul. Doesn't have control of my soul. That is why I am vegan, because I'm against evil. Yeah, well, that's blasphemous to say that God put animals here for us to eat, because I'm literally proving to you it has nothing to do with God and everything to do with bestiality. Bestiality is a sin. Look it up. Look at what your Bible says about bestiality. God did not put animals here for us to eat. Farmers literally sexually stimulate male animals and force them to ejaculate, and then force that semen into the vaginas of unconsenting female animals to force them to reproduce. They mutilate, torment their babies, force those babies to live in such filthy conditions they have to be given antibiotics to keep them from getting sick. It's just weird that people, you know, you're so conditioned to consuming animal products that even when the truth is right in front of your face of how vile this industry is, you continue to defend this disgusting industry. You're so conditioned and fooled by this evil industry that you're literally right now defending bestiality. You're literally defending the sexual violation of animals. That is how brainwashed people are. That is how much control this evil force has over you. That even when it's proven to you that this industry is so vile, they're sexually violating animals, you still come to their defense. You still come to the defense of evil. You're still defending evil. You're still defending evil. You're funding it. You're supporting it every single time you consume a non-vegan product. And I'm just stating facts. I am vegan because I am against evil. The animal agriculture industry is the most evil thing in the world. It's literally destroying the world, causing the 6th mass extinction. And 1 billion people right now starving because food they could eat is being used to fatten livestock. So evil, so evil. So evil, 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 evil. The most unholy place on the planet. Factory farms where they're doing these sick, evil things to these animals, and slaughterhouses. Now, you think there's something holy happening inside of a slaughterhouse? No. Slaughterhouses are the most unholy places on the planet. But here you so-called Christians, oh, and God put animals here for us to eat. So basically you're saying that God is the reason why slaughterhouses exist. God is the reason why humans are masturbating animals. That is crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, I love to be able to state facts. It's nice being able to state facts. No, it hurts that you would actually defend bestiality. Like, I'm literally proving to you that bestiality is what it takes to produce those animal products that are on store shelves, and you're literally defending bestiality. Yeah, this is the most efficient and cost-effective way of force breeding animals. This is why they're doing this. And some animals, like, the chickens and the turkeys, they're bred to grow so abnormally large that physically they cannot mate. So yeah, the males are being sexually violated, masturbated to collect their semen. That is bestiality. That is sexual assault. It should be a crime. Nobody in their right mind should be supporting such disgusting, evil behavior. And then they're literally taking the semen from these male animals and forcing it into unconsenting female animals. If you were to force semen into a woman's vagina without her consent, you wouldn't be calling that artificial insemination. You would understand clearly that would be a crime of rape. But yet you're supporting it when it comes to non-human animals. All day, every day, for every single non-vegan product you consume. Go hide yourself. Like, go hide somewhere. Like, why are you coming on social media defending this behavior? That is so creepy. That is so creepy that people are still, like, making comments in support of this disgusting industry when I just proved to you it is based on bestiality and sexually violating animals, and you're still defending it. Yeah, creepy. I'm so glad I escaped the animal killing cult. So glad that I escaped the animal killing cult. But obviously most people are still extremely brainwashed. So brainwashed, they'll literally defend bestiality. Literally defend the sexual assault of animals. That is so creepy, how evil this industry is. How much power this industry has. Yeah, really, really creepy. How am I not banned? because I'm literally stating facts. I'm literally stating facts. And I love to be able to state facts. It's awesome to be able to use this platform to state facts, to tell the truth about the standard practices of the animal agriculture industry.